Hello and welcome back to the garden. It's a bit overcast here in Norfolk. As you can see, I'm turning our first compost heap of the year. It's taken all the ingredients from the garden, all our waste, since April, and we had it up to here just at the end of May. It's been about 6 weeks now, and so I'm turning it. Some people recommend you keep turning the compost. As far as I've read, the more you turn it, the quicker it becomes ready. But we're only going to turn ours once, and as you can see, it's already breaking down quite nicely, really. Mixture of browns and greens and lawn mowings that we get. There's lots of activity going on there, so that sounds good. You can see where I've been turning it. I'm going to introduce a little bit more air, hopefully heat up once again, and be ready for me to use sometime in November. This, by the way, is one of the best things that I've ever bought. I tried to make our compost 2 or 3 years now, and always use just an ordinary garden fork, which you can do, but it does make quite hard work of it. This is quite good because it gets in there and you can break the lumps up. As I say, all of this is byproduct of the waste from our garden, the waste from our kitchen, and quite lucky because my sister-in-law actually has some guinea pigs, and so we get bags of their manure. It's got lovely straw in it too, so it provides some brown for this. Yeah, and really helps to make the compost good. We've got plenty to do today. This is the first job, so I'll finish turning this, and you can see the finished result and what I've done to it, and yeah, we'll come back. I've turned the compost from this bay into here, looking really good. I'm really getting quite pleased with that. Should be lovely by the time it's finished. I will put a cover over this. You may hear some rumbles of thunder in the background while we're filming this, because we've just heard a few and it's clouding up quite a lot now. And I want to keep this as dry as possible now, so that it's become really nice, quite usable compost for me to use in November to spread over our no-dig beds. As you can see, we haven't built anything special. We've used old pallets, lined it with pieces of wood. Would we like to get a slightly better system? Yeah, I think we probably would, but for now this does the job. And all the compost that I bought in earlier in the year, which is spread on our beds, these were the pallets that came off it, so they've been recycled and being used to contain this year's compost. You can see above it this shelf here, and the onions we picked the other week, or sorry, the shallots, not the onions, the shallots we picked the other week. Up there and there, and getting some air. They're under cover, so they're not going to get wet, and yeah, get them ready for storage. We still have lots more shallots to pick, by the way. We'll probably do a whole new video on that. Piece of sticky tape that was on the cardboard. Certainly don't need that. I missed. So yeah, this is our setup, but you know, it's nothing to look at. This is where we keep our stores of wood and things. You might want to use around the garden. This is the top end of the garden, this is, so not many people see this. So at the moment I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bay system, and that's what I want to be able to use, hence why this needs to come out. So as I said earlier, that bay took all of our waste from the garden and from the kitchen and my sister-in-law's waste from the guinea pigs. From April, that finished towards the end of May, and it's now been there 6 weeks, hence why we've turned it. This is the next one that we've started off, and this one is up to here now. You can see where we've been tidying up the brassicas, picking the leaves, taking the leaves off that are starting to become a bit past their best. You can see where they're yellowing. They're not doing the plant any good now. And to be honest with you, when we picked these earlier today, these leaves off, the cabbages are actually just about coming to harvest. They're firming up really quite nicely. So that's up to there. I fully expect that to drop another 12 inches over the next week or two. And we'll continue filling that until it reaches the top. And then we'll cap that off and then turn that into the bay that we have just emptied. And then we start again. It's quite a bit of pruning to do in the garden over the next month or so. Down at the bottom end of the garden where we have our shrubs and things, they know some of those which are flowered, they know won't cut them back. So yeah, there's plenty of stuff to go on there. I've just, over the last week or so, I've managed to get hold of a tree surgeon, and he should be delivering us some wood chip and green waste from his business over the next week or so. I'll let that rot down and I can mix that hopefully next year with the compost that we're making, so that we have a really good ratio of brown to green. And I will say I'm no expert on compost, but I read about things, and one of the best pieces of advice that I've seen is watching the great Charles Dowding. It's really good to watch his YouTube videos on compost making, and we've certainly tried to do that. And we go back to this one that we've turned. Yeah, this is probably some of the best stuff that we've sort of made. It really is, and it's still got, well, it's July now, so I won't need it until November, October, November, as the beds become clear, and it's all out. It's all ready. Must have caught myself on a rose there. It's already, yeah, really breaking down quite well. Really, really pleased with that. And that will feed our new dig soil for the coming year. Join us in the garlic garden, our overwintering beds. In our other video you saw us harvest all the onions, and we have replanted now with kale and sprouts. And you also saw us harvest one of our garlic plants. I decided to leave them in another week or so, and you can see that the garlic the rust has suddenly come. In the last video we did, there wasn't any rust at all. The good news is it came very late. I've known rust to go on the garlic a long time before now, but I don't see any advantage in leaving the garlic any longer. I don't think it's going to grow much more, especially now it has been infected with the rust. So we're going to harvest it and see exactly what we have got. All I do is trowel just to help lever the plants up. Not digging a hole or anything like that. I don't think you really want to be pulling the plants up because, wow, for us this is amazing garlic. There's a lovely big bulb. You'll recall seeing on the other video we did, I show you a picture of what our garlic normally looks like in our heavy clay soil. But it's grown so much better in this no-dig soil. I'm really pleased with that. So, as I say, just help lever it up. Don't be digging big holes. Yeah, I'm really pleased with that. You should always see just how your garlic is doing by pushing some soil away. See how they are forming. Try and be a bit careful not to bruise the garlic too much, because otherwise they won't store very well. Yeah, I think we're getting that at the right time. You can just see there the cloves are starting to separate. If they separate too much, then you're going to struggle to keep them. And this is a variety called White Solent. This seems to have been bred especially for our conditions here in the UK. I can't tell you how we've had harvests of garlic before, just how pleased I am with these. So I'm going to continue harvesting the rest of these, and then we'll come back to you once we've just harvested. You can see the final harvest. As you can see, the garlic has now been harvested, and we've just raked over the land. It won't be too long before these shallots are out. Of course, they were overwintered too. They went in last October. And you can see most of the leaves are now starting to fall over, so they'll be next out of the ground, and then we'll be ready for our next plantings. And here is the garlic harvest. This is the last of our garlic from last year, and it's about the size of the garlic that we would normally grow in our heavy clay soil. I don't think they're happy in all that damp soil over the autumn. They just don't get very big. However, since we've gone over to no dig, this is the type of bulbs we're now getting. And I don't think it's any coincidence that we're gardening on no-dig soil. What I need to do now is to dry these so that they will store throughout the winter and into next spring. And all as I do is I take off the outer leaves. So, not too many, but just so that soil is all. But look at that, look. You need to be a bit careful that you don't bruise them, otherwise they won't store very well. You can see there's some nicely formed cloves there. I think it would have left it any longer, they would have started to split. I should go through all of these. We have about 50 garlic plants. We did harvest one or two wet. There's around about 50 garlic bulbs there, and I shall do this to all of them. And we're actually expecting a bit of rain over the next few days around here in Norfolk. So I normally leave them outside in a crate and let the sun do its job. But for now, these are going to go under cover with an open-sided shed that we have down here. That should supply enough air around the bulbs so that they can dry. And if we get forecast some finer weather, we can bring them out in this crate, let them dry off in the sun, and obviously move them back in again if we're expecting lots of rain. So this is my job for the next half an hour or so, but what a worthwhile job it is, knowing that we're going to have lovely garlic for the next 6 to 7 months. Here we are then. I have peeled off the outer leaves to expose the white bulb, and as I said earlier, these will go into our open-aired shed. It has no sides, where they'll be protected from the rain that we're expecting, and they can start their curing process and drying. If we get some warmer weather the week after, then we can bring them outside so the sun can work their magic on them. What I will do is to save some of the largest bulbs and use those for seed for next year. I've heard that you can do that. I've never tried it before, but we are certainly going to try it this year. Goes without saying, I'm really pleased with this garlic harvest, and I really do think it's all down to the no dig soil. There's been no fertilizers put onto the land. It is just a layer of compost that I believe feeds the soil. There are the results. It works. Harvest time this morning. Guests coming round today, so these potatoes are a variety called Charlotte, a salad potato, and these went into the ground March 22nd. Won't be long now before they're actually ready for harvest, at their maximum that is. Harvest them at any time when you want them. You can see they produce lots of tubers. Also gives you a good insight into our soil. So you can see it's really clay. It's really great because potatoes grow so well in no dig soil. They really do. The harvest is easy and simple. We'll have a couple of roots today. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 of us today, and you can't beat the taste of nice new potatoes. Most of these I will leave to grow on. They should be harvested by the time we get to the end of this month. See, the plants are starting to yellow up at the bottom. It's not going to be long before they reach their maximum harvest. You can see that the potatoes mostly form in the surface, but they also do go down to a depth too. And all we need to do is just root around. Nope, that looks it. The mulch back. And that's the potatoes. Got some carrots for today, and all I'm doing is going along the rows and finding the ones that are quite large. You can usually tell by the shoulders on it. That's how I tell the difference anyway. And then wiggle them out. So you saw a little earlier while I was harvesting the potatoes. You can see what our soil is like. But yeah, you can still get really nice carrots in no dig soil. I have to say, before we went over to no dig, I was rather thinking to myself, well, how are you going to get the seed? Well, you're going to get straight carrots, really. Because traditional wisdom always says that you should manure the bed or put compost on it when you want to grow carrots. That's that myth blown out of the water. And I've read and I've seen other people saying that it's because you're not actually incorporating the compost or the manure into the soil. This is a surface mulch, and all you're doing is sowing the seeds into it. Oh, the smell of carrot is unbelievable. If you look down here, some fungi or things growing, which is telling me that this mulch surface is doing its job and that the soil is really happy. That's important to mention also. I don't think I've mentioned any videos thus far that we don't use any other feed. In the case of this bed you see here that I'm working on, this mulch went down here last September. Last week you saw us put the next row of carrots in for autumn winter. That's the beetroot, so that's on its second crop. And then beyond that, before that you saw us putting the kale and the sprouts in. Before that was our overwintering onions. And the plans for this are more brassicas to follow these carrots. It won't take us too long to chomp our way through these. I'm sure we're going to have a fantastic day today. I shall post the videos that were taken over the weekend this evening. Return these to the compost heap, where to make more food, lovely food, to be able to mulch these beds come October, November time. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed watching. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and we shall see you soon.